The dawn of a new era in aerial warfare has arrived, and it is defined by a machine that many believed was still decades away from reality. For years, the F-22 Raptor has stood as the undisputed king of the skies, a symbol of American air dominance that no adversary could hope to challenge. But as the geopolitical landscape shifts and nations like China and Russia accelerate their development of fifth-generation fighters and advanced anti-access area denial systems, the United States has quietly moved the goalposts. Enter the F-47, the crown jewel of the next-generation air dominance program. This is not merely a replacement for the Raptor, it is a fundamental reimagining of what a fighter jet can be. The F-47 represents a quantum leap in lethality, a platform designed to operate in the highly contested environments of tomorrow, where traditional stealth and speed are no longer enough to guarantee survival. To understand why the F-47 is so feared, one must first understand the crisis of modern air combat. For the last 2 decades, the formula for success was simple: be invisible to radar and hit the enemy from a distance. However, radar technology has evolved. Low-frequency radars and infrared search and track systems are becoming increasingly capable of detecting even the stealthiest fifth-generation airframes. Furthermore, the vast distances of the Pacific theater have exposed the short legs of current fighters, which rely heavily on vulnerable tanker aircraft to reach their targets. The F-47 was born out of the necessity to solve these existential threats. It is a system of systems, a central node in a digital web that spans space, cyberspace, and the physical battlefield. It is designed not just to win a dogfight, but to dismantle an entire enemy integrated air defense system before the first shot is even fired. The first and perhaps most critical technological pillar of the F-47 is its adaptive cycle engine. For the entire history of jet propulsion, engineers have been forced to choose between 2 conflicting designs: a high bypass engine for fuel efficiency and long range, or a low bypass engine for raw power and supersonic speed. In the past, a fighter jet was either a marathon runner or a sprinter. The F-47's engine, however, is a shapeshifter. Through the use of a third stream of airflow, the engine can literally adjust its bypass ratio in real time while in flight. When the pilot needs to transit across thousands of miles of ocean, the engine behaves like a commercial airliner's turbofan, sipping fuel and extending the aircraft's combat radius by 30 to 40% compared to the F-22. This removes the tanker tether that currently limits American air power in the Indo-Pacific. But the moment the F-47 enters enemy airspace and the mission profile changes, the engine adapts. It closes off the third stream to provide the massive thrust required for Mach 2+ intercepts and high-G maneuvers. This best-of-both-worlds capability is what makes the F-47 a strategic nightmare for adversaries. They can no longer assume that American fighters are limited by a specific range or that they will be forced to refuel at predictable intervals. Beyond range and power, these engines solve a lethal flaw in traditional stealth: heat. Modern sensors can often see the heat coming out of a jet pipe, even if the radar can't find the airframe. The F-47's adaptive cycle technology includes sophisticated thermal management that mixes cool air with exhaust gases and uses the aircraft's fuel as a heat sink, drastically reducing its infrared signature. In the cat-and-mouse game of aerial detection, the F-47 has just become a ghost that leaves no trail.
This brings us to the second pillar of its dominance: next-generation stealth and radar invisibility. While the F-22 and F-35 are famous for their marble-sized radar cross-sections, the F-47 aims for something even more ambitious. It seeks to be a radar black hole. The stealth of the 1990s and 2000s relied heavily on the geometric shaping of the airframe to bounce radar waves away from the source. However, modern multi-static and low-frequency radars are beginning to circumvent these shapes. The F-47 counters this with a two-pronged approach. First, it utilizes new, highly durable radar-absorbent materials that are not painted on but are baked into the very composite structure of the skin. These materials are designed to absorb radar energy across a much wider spectrum of frequencies than ever before, making the jet invisible not just to fire control radars, but to the long-range early warning radars that previously could hint at a stealth fighter's presence. The second part of the F-47 stealth suite is truly the stuff of science fiction: active radar cancellation. Imagine noise-canceling headphones but for electromagnetic waves. The F-47 is equipped with an array of sensors that detect incoming radar pulses from an enemy battery. In milliseconds, the aircraft's internal computers calculate the exact frequency and phase of that pulse and emit a countersignal that perfectly cancels the incoming wave. To the enemy radar operator, the screen remains blank. There is no return signal, no glimmer of a target, and no data for a missile to lock onto. This is active stealth, a dynamic capability that adapts to the specific threat in real time. When you combine this with the jet's tailless design, which eliminates the vertical surfaces that usually create radar returns from the side, the F-47 becomes virtually impossible to track from any angle. As we look at these capabilities, it becomes clear that the F-47 is not just a weapon, it is a statement of intent. It is the physical manifestation of a nation that refuses to cede the high ground. The sheer complexity of the adaptive cycle engine and the active stealth systems represents a barrier to entry that most nations cannot hope to cross for decades. For the pilots who will eventually sit in the cockpit of this machine, it offers a level of protection and performance that was previously unimaginable. They are no longer just pilots, they are managers of a massive, invisible force. The F-47 doesn't just enter the fight, it dictates the terms of the engagement. It is the ultimate insurance policy for freedom of maneuver in the 21st century. Before we move into the even more terrifying world of AI-driven combat and cyber warfare in the second half of this script, I want to take a moment to thank you for watching Atlantic Defense Tech. If you are passionate about the cutting edge of military innovation and want to stay updated on the technologies that are shaping our future, please make sure to hit that like button. It helps the channel reach more people who care about global security and engineering excellence. If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive into the world's most advanced weapon systems. Also, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Given what we've discussed so far, do you think the F-47's adaptive engine is the biggest game changer, or is the active stealth more important? Let us know your thoughts. The strategic implications of the F-47 extend far beyond the cockpit. In a potential conflict where an adversary might attempt to deny access to an entire region using long-range missiles, the F-47 acts as the door kicker. Its ability to loiter for hours deep within enemy territory without being detected allows it to map out the entire electronic order of battle. It can identify where the mobile radar units are hiding, where the command centers are buried, and where the missile silos are located. In the past, this kind of reconnaissance required specialized, vulnerable aircraft. Now, the deadliest fighter in the world does it as a secondary task. This level of autonomy and multi-role capability is what makes the F-47 the most feared aircraft in development today. It doesn't just enter the fight, it dictates the terms of the engagement. It is the ultimate insurance policy for freedom of maneuver in the 21st century. As we conclude this first segment, we have seen how the F-47 solves the two biggest problems of modern air combat: range and detection. Through the revolutionary adaptive cycle engine, it has broken the laws of physics that once forced a compromise between speed and distance. Through active radar cancellation and next-generation materials, it has pushed the boundaries of stealth into the realm of true invisibility. But the physical attributes of the F-47 are half the story. The real brain of this machine lies in its software and its ability to lead a digital army of drones. In the next part of this script, we will explore how the F-47 uses artificial intelligence to turn a single pilot into a fleet commander,